Hello guys, today we're reacting to a video called How to Find Your Signature Fragrance by a channel called Fashion Elitist. I like reacting to these fragrance videos from non-fragrance channels because it gives us a really nice, fresh, new perspective, pun intended, and lets us know what other new ways can we see the world of fragrance through and what other tips are there out in the general world. Plus it's interesting to react to tips given by non-fragrance channels to see if I agree or disagree, what advice is being given out there in general to the masses. Looking at his channel, it seems like a really interesting channel with a wide variety of topics and really interesting thumbnails to say the least. The host of the channel does give me slight John Lennon / Steve Jobs vibes from this video here, this first frame. So I think he might be an interesting character. Let's watch this video together, guys, for the first time, live. Let's begin.
You saw me and you clicked on this video. And clearly, today we're gonna be talking about fragrances. As a fragrance connoisseur, a fragrance elitist that I am, I'm going to cover a few different things with fragrances. So let's get into the video. But before I start, I'm gonna throw out 2 fragrance facts to make it seem like I'm actually smarter than I am. So fragrance fact number 1, the impact goes way beyond mood and memory. Additional research finds that scents can affect how calm and alert we are, sharpen our focus, cause us to be more generous, relieve anxiety and fatigue, improve brain power, and enhance physical health.
So that's referring more now to the realm of aromatherapy. I actually did a video quite a while back about how fragrances can make you feel more relaxed. There is some scientific studies showing that certain essential oils or certain ingredients can affect our mood, our performance, etc. But I'm not sure how convinced I am overall. Scientific research isn't proven just through some studies. It needs to be peer-reviewed. Meta-analyses are really the best way for people to learn a conclusion, for something to be more valid in the scientific community. So that's why I always say to people, take it with a pinch of salt when you see people saying, oh, studies show X, X, and Y. It doesn't always mean it's a conclusive result. So what do you guys think? Do you care about fragrances affecting your mood? Do you feel like actually in your personal life your mood does get affected by certain fragrances?
I'm not entirely sure how a fragrance can make us more generous, unless I'm saying that incorrectly.
Generous.
Okay. Fragrance fact number 2. So I had to ask this question, how do scents improve our overall mood, right? Here's the answer. Scents send signals. That's a tongue twister. Scents send signals to our limbic system, which is the sector of the brain that controls memory and emotion. According to a 2011 study conducted by, I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to butcher it, positive emotions which can be elected by certain fragrances have been proven to lower stress levels and improve overall mental outlook. In regards to all these interesting facts about fragrances, it does improve your overall mood. It can lift the spirits of many people around you as well, not only yourself but others. And not only that, having a signature fragrance is the utmost best thing you can possibly have. It's like having your own personal style.
Yeah, even as a fragrance person, I'm not sure if it's the best thing you can have ever is your own signature fragrance. I feel like you should probably start with your own personal hygiene first, your dress sense first, and then have a nice signature fragrance. I feel like fragrance actually comes a little bit later in one's own personal wardrobe. And also, what do you guys think about fragrances being mood boosters? I think that's generally true. I think anecdotally people can just say, you know what, it does enhance our lives and enhances other people's lives as well, as long as you're wearing fragrance appropriately around them. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you.
So let me explain why I love fragrances and why you might want to as well. Fragrances create a very personalized representation of oneself. Smells can create a positive and powerful connections to others. Think about it in a way of being able to locate or even know if you're friends in a room full of strangers just based off the fragrance they use. That's what I mean by personalized. It's unquestionably unique to them and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys feel like you have a certain style in perfumes that really feels like it's you? For me, I would say I like my classy barbershop scents. I like that 20th century stuff brought into modern times, hence why I love fragrances like Fougère d'Argent, for example.
Now, I'm sure we all have that one friend who has a very specific scent to them. Maybe they smell like garbage. Maybe they smell very beautiful. Who knows? Now, that's how we kind of identify that person, usually with that fragrance, you know? And there are a few friends of mine that wear fragrances on the daily, and I know what fragrance they use all the time. Maybe not by name, but I know the smell. And, you know, sometimes I'll be walking around, and when I do smell it, I just think of that person. And I think that's such an interesting connection to have.
I find like that B-roll so funny. He just picks out the most random, regular moments in his life to associate with fragrance, which is kind of cool. It's a different way of seeing the world of fragrance and not the usual polished stuff you'll see in adverts, for example. Yeah, most guys, when we wear fragrances, we're just like, yeah, in the subway, just chilling.
And I think that's such an interesting connection to have when it comes to even your friends or maybe a partner of yours. So if you're able to find a very personalized fragrance that you feel like defines who you are or how you feel at the moment, I think fragrances are the way to go. I mean, besides getting into clothing, which I truly enjoy, which is another hobby of mine, but with fragrances, it's such a different, unique experience that you can definitely output into the world. Based off first impressions, we typically look at someone's look, someone's hair, someone's face, maybe how they dress. Now, second impressions would come down to the way you smell. And if you hit those two off the checkbox of most people's lists, you're already doing better than most people.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying earlier. I would say fragrance comes a little bit later. I do not think it's your foundation as your personal presentation personally, even as a fragrance channel. What do you guys think? Am I being unfair?
You're better than the average Joe. You're better than the normie down the street that doesn't even wear any fragrances. Now, buying fragrances doesn't need to be really expensive, but I will get into that later. Now I'm going to be talking about some of the problems that some people might have with fragrances or even where they should start. Let's tackle longevity issues. And with that, it also connects with oil-based versus alcohol-based fragrances, which are very different.
I feel like when you're starting out though, you don't really actually care that much about longevity. I feel like most people in their fragrance journey, when they're starting off, they get something cheap, readily available in a department store. Like myself, I used to wear Montblanc Emblem, I think was one of my first fragrances, or even the original Hugo Boss bottled. Both not very long lasting, but as a beginner, you usually just enjoy the scent, especially the opening, and you kind of just buy your fragrance off of that. I think longevity comes as a factor people care about more later on.
Like Eau de Toilette and just regular Parfum. Now, what exactly makes these different? The strength of the perfume refers to the amount of concentration of fragrance oils in the fragrance. So now here's a little list of how long these fragrances typically do last, and that might depend on the oils on your skin and also like maybe where you apply it to as well. But typically with the less concentration of fragrance oils in the fragrance, it is cheaper. Now with it being cheaper, you are getting less time of it being able to be really smell or how pungent it is.
Yeah, I might skip ahead in this part of the video because fragrance concentration is quite straightforward. You have eau de cologne around 5% concentration of oil compared to perfumer's alcohol. Eau de toilette is around 8 to 14. Eau de parfum is 15 to 20. Extrait de parfum is 25% and above. There's no actual legal definition of how much a concentration should be for each definition. So bear that in mind actually. And also he says, yes, generally the higher concentrations will give you more longevity. It's all in general terms because, of course, it actually depends on the construction of the fragrance itself. Some eau de toilettes actually end up lasting longer than some eau de parfums. Most people actually thought that they got more longevity with Sauvage EDT compared to the EDP, for example. Even though they're both long-lasting, the EDT still lasted a very long time. So yes, in general, higher concentrations gives you more longevity, but you can't guarantee it.
Now, the only reason I'm giving you this type of information is because before buying a fragrance, I think it's also really good to know if it's going to last really long or if it's not, because if you spend, I don't know, like $80 to $60 on a fragrance.
Hey, what was that? That was Secretions Magnifiques. I saw that. I don't know why he's featuring that fragrance on his channel. He should not be doing that. If this is meant to be his beginner-friendly video, that fragrance should not be on his video. It should not be tempting any beginner at all. If you guys want to see a review of that fragrance, by the way, I did a video quite a while back on that also.
You spray it on your skin and you find out it's not going to last that long, or it lasts like 2 hours, 3 hours, you're going to be quite disappointed and you might feel like you wasted money. So now you're aware of it, and then we can move on now.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've all been in that situation where you spend a lot of money on something that doesn't last, especially in the niche realm. In the niche realm, it really shouldn't be acceptable. But let's say you're spending something like $100 for something like Dior Homme cologne. Do you guys care or not care at that price range if something doesn't last that long, as long as you know that it's very crisp and refreshing and short lasting? What's your price range limit for where longevity has to be guaranteed?
So let's talk about how to find a fragrance that best meshes with your personality and or what you want to go for. So when you're trying to find a fragrance, I think this is a very key thing to remember. There are the top notes, the heart notes, and the base notes. Now, what does this all mean?
Okay, I'm gonna skip this again because I feel like most people watching this on my channel will know what this is. Top notes is your opening, the initial smell you get. Mid is the scent you get later on during the dry down, and then the base is the end of the dry down, the notes that last the longest.
So typically, I know some people typically will look at the top notes and the base notes and stuff to just kind of gauge whether they want to smell like that for a little bit. But in terms of the longevity of the fragrance, you're going to always smell the base notes, and that's probably the most important notes list that you want to look at to see if you're going to like it or not. If you're just like, I don't know, looking on the internet, or you went to a Macy's or a fragrance shop.
I'm not sure if I agree with that advice, because if you hate the first half of the duration of a fragrance, the base notes at the end are not going to save you. I don't think you'll enjoy that fragrance. I feel like you need to look at all the notes. You need to enjoy the full picture ideally, or at the very least the heart and the base together.
Definitely check out the base notes at the very bottom of the list. Check the base notes, see if that's something that you're gonna want on your skin so that it doesn't irritate your nose and or you get annoyed of the fragrance. That is just something I definitely recommend checking before even purchasing something. There's also another question of what fragrance defines you as a person. Now, typically, I don't really like wearing fragrances that are very uplifting. Most of the fragrances that I do purchase for myself are either spicy, musky, or oaky, forest type smells.
It's funny because I look at him and I kind of think he'd be a patchouli guy. He has that dark clothing, a dark style, and I feel like I'm getting hippie vibes from him. As I said, I was getting that Steve Jobs 60s vibe from him. So maybe he would like patchouli fragrances. Something like Tom Ford Noir, the original, would be something up his alley.
That's what I really enjoy too, and I think most men can relate to that. That's just my enjoyment, but spicy fragrances are great. I don't really like leather smells. Some men like leather smells, some men like really musky fragrances, and that's all up to personal preference, opinion, and whatever. Now, objectively, there are some fragrances that smell like balls. I won't say what, but you know.
Okay, this is the part of the video that should have had Secretions Magnifiques up on here. I think the general fragrance styles in commercial terms that most men can think of are going to be spicy, woody citrus, floral, aquatic, and maybe darker styles. Those are the general styles I feel like you can fit pretty much any fragrance in. So let us know in the comments, guys, which style do you feel like you fit into in the commercial world of perfumery?
Now, this is the first thing that I definitely can recommend to you is you're going to want to go and get a bottle sampler. So you're gonna get a bottle sampler, you're gonna spray it on yourself, and you're gonna see if it works out for you in the terms of it being the best or not, right? So the reason I'm telling you this is because you need to know this one thing. Everyone's oils are different. So when you spray fragrance on your skin, it will smell a lot different on me versus on you because we have different oils on our body.
Yeah, this is a good point. I'm going to skip to the end of this section as well because we generally know what sampling is. You should always decant the fragrance. That's the best way to know if it works with your skin chemistry, the longevity, to see if you like the dry down. It is the best way to know if you want to get something as a full bottle. And I always do say, guys, go for quality, not quantity in your collection. Only get full bottles of things you really love.
Now this is the part of the video where I explain how to wear fragrances. And you might be asking yourself, well, how else would I wear fragrances? There are actually very specific points on the body that you would wear your fragrance on or spray it. There are pulse points. There are here on your neck, behind your ear, and on your wrists. And also on right here.
Nice. This guy knows his anatomy, because I often see in some of these application tips where people will then point to their trachea, their windpipe here, and be like, yeah, apply right here, or the middle of their chest. So you got to know your pulse points. Yeah, he's doing really well so far.
These are the pulse points that you would want to spray the fragrances on. Now, let me go grab a fragrance of mine. You're coming with me. So here we are. We have my fragrances down below. I will partake in one of them, which is this one over here that I really like. I grab, and I will show you how to put this fragrance on. When you're putting a fragrance, typically it depends on the amount you want on your body, right? So usually I will spray one here, one on my wrist, and that is it. And what you do is don't smear, please don't smear. If you smear the fragrance, what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna damage the longevity, and not only that, but the heart notes and the top notes get damaged. 2
sprays from most fragrances is gonna be too little in my opinion. I'm always in the 4 to 6 range is my usual recommendation. And obviously people like Curly laughs at both of us.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26.
But I do think 4 to 6 usually works for most people. Now, the whole thing about rubbing, I'm not sure how much of that is actually true. I think it might be just a myth in the fragrance world. I think I've rubbed before plenty of times and it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't actually change the fragrance. It's still a liquid at the end of the day. It's applied on your skin. I don't really understand the logic why people think rubbing bruises or destroys a fragrance. It's the same kind of myth as people who say coffee beans reset your nose. I'm here to tell you guys, coffee beans will not reset your nose. That is just not true. You can look it up.
Just spray it and tap. Just tap in the areas that you want it, whether it's behind your ears as well, just do that.
No, even as a self-proclaimed sissy spray, I'll just say, wherever you want to apply, just spray it. Don't do this whole tap and then touch here, and like just spray the fragrance. I don't know why I think he's overcomplicating it here in my opinion. In fairness, he's not the only person who I've seen do that. I just don't understand why people do it. Just spray the appropriate number of times, get it over and done with.
Also, another trick a lot of people do end up doing in the fragrance community is they will get Vaseline, they will put it on their points here, wherever they're going to spray it, and they'll spray it on that. And what that does is it only extends the time or the life of the fragrance, and you'll get better performance with your smells. And that's cool, right? Is that not?
Yeah, that's a fair tip. Moisturizer usually helps trap a fragrance so it lasts longer on your skin, or makes your skin more oily. It's not as dry, so the fragrance sticks longer. And I will say also you can go for Molecule O2 by Escentric Molecules, or unbranded pure ambroxan. Basically, ambroxan can also help increase longevity without affecting the scent too much.
Pricing and risks. I want to talk about this real quick. Not everyone needs a fragrance. Not everyone needs to buy fragrances. It's a luxury. It's not a need. It's not essential. You do not need to smell good. Well, you do need to smell good, but you don't need to spray this on your body. You just take a shower. You don't need this extraness of a fragrance on your body. You can buy cheaper fragrances and you can do these, like the tricks that I told you about the Vaseline to make them last a little bit longer, but in all seriousness and in reality, we do not need fragrances. You do not need to buy a bunch of fragrances. I got a lot of those gifted to me from people. I never bought any, so I'm going to tell you this right now. You do not need to spend $100 to $200 on a oil-based perfume, or go out and really spend all your money on trying to figure out what smell works for you best.
Yeah, fair points in fairness to him. And I will say also in general, my previous point applies: quality, not quantity. Save up your money. I don't think there's anything wrong with expensive fragrances, but you really need to know that you do love it and don't just like it. So you got to make it worth the price tag that you're paying.
Or go out and really spend all your money on trying to figure out what smell works for you best. What I used to do when I was quite broke is I would go and I would get the sample bottles, which were like, I think 1 ml, and I would spray once, and I would just try and get as much use out of them every day. They would usually last me about like 2 weeks.
Okay, wow, the struggle was definitely real. Now, I feel bad, but if you are really wanting something that's on a good budget for you, you can go for something during the daytime like Versace Blue Jeans, and something for the evening would be something like Ameer Oudh Intense. You can go for those 2 fragrances. You can wear them both most of the year round. if you're really struggling, but you really want something great value for money.
That's what I did for a long time because either they were free or I had to buy them for like $1 to $2 sometimes, but it goes a long way. I didn't want to spend my money on a Le Labo fragrance bottle that was like $300 or even the F50 ml I think is $200. Couldn't be me.
I feel like if you're really broke, you should just forget about niche fragrances. You can get a lot of great stuff in the designer realm anyways, and even in the cheap realm and in the clone realm as well.
You're gonna wanna get the samplers, you're going to wanna spray that on your skin because again, it might not mesh well with your oils really great and it might smell horrible on you, and that'd be horrible if you bought this in a full bottle because it looked cool, you thought it smelled great in the bottle, because it does, but once it's sprayed on your skin, does it smell horrible? I definitely recommend getting the samples first or getting those small bottles, carrying it around with you for a month, putting it on your skin, try it on for at least a week straight or 2, because sometimes people will get overly sensitive with fragrances and how it smells, and you might not like it. So even if it does mesh well with your skin and it smells good on you and people give you compliments, your nose might not like it anymore and you will get headaches smelling it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about headaches. I feel like if you feel like a fragrance is too synthetic, you might pick that up quite early on, but maybe you'll get bored of a fragrance. That's what happened with me with Versace Eros, the original. I had that, I loved it, wore it for a few days, got bored very quickly. Maybe after a few weeks, I really got bored. So it can apply, yes, be careful, you can get bored of fragrances. That's why you should give your samples, yeah, several wearings, as he said.
And whatever. That's the end of the video. I'm done.
Yeah, really cool video, cool editing style. I really like it. I feel like he's just a very artistic guy, definitely a fashion head. You can tell through the way he does his videos. Really thought he did great here. As a non-fragrance person, I felt like he gave really reasonable advice. And he seemed like he already watched a lot of fragrance related videos. Maybe he watched my own. Maybe he'll see this video. If you do, bro, I really appreciate you giving out good quality knowledge to people. What do you guys think of the fragrance tips given today for beginners? Do you agree or disagree? If you want to see the original video, by the way, guys, we're going to leave a link in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you want to see our previous reaction video, you can watch it up here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.